So, what types of keyboard sounds are good to have on deck for jam sessions or shows? Well, let's do a demo with the lovely Roland Axe Edge guitar. That I was granted access to through the hard work of my buddy Jimmy Franklin. Definitely check out his YouTube channel. He's a beast. And in exchange for receiving this, I'm going to help him with some content, recording a video session, kind of using this. And I have had this Roland Axe Edge before, but I'm going to use it as a demo to show you kind of the best keyboard patches that are good to have on deck for your next kind of jam session or show. And real quick, before we do that, as you can do with the Axe Edge, because this bright red is not quite my vibe. So we're just going to quickly detach this fin. And as I do that, I'm just going to tell you the main categories you're going to want to have set up. And, it's going to vary depending on your ideal genre. And if it's a professional money-making thing, maybe you got certain go-to songs that you need to play, need to learn. But in general, we're going to start off with the main categories. So number one, piano. And that can be a straight grand piano. If you're doing more honky tonk, that can be like a brighter piano sound. But of course, you're going to want to have a go-to piano patch and have that on deck for quick and easy access. And next category, we're going to want a electric piano. So electric piano, and there's two main electric pianos you want to have access to. So something resembling a Rhodes and something resembling a Wurlitzer, right? So a Rhodes is going to give you more of that kind of brighter belly type sound, and then the Wurlitzer is going to be a little bit harsher, getting you that more percussive kind of funky thing. And there's different amounts of effects you can add on, and if there's certain Rhodes or Wurlis you go to a lot, well, let's say you like this one Rhodes that's typically baked in with a lot of reverb, or you like this Wurlitzer that has a certain amount of crunch or even phaser to it, which is this kind of audio effect going to it, then save that as your preset. But that gives it for your basic keyboard categories. One next keyboard category you might want to have on deck for getting a little funky is the clavinet, right? So you probably want a clavinet, almost like a distorted harpsichord type sound with some wah on there. Oftentimes I do have a clavinet with wah to get that movement, extra funky. Great for Stevie Wonder songs, kind of just great funky jams. You can add some distortion to it as well, which gives it a nice bite. And then you could also have a synth lead. And one thing I sometimes leave room for is to have multiple synth leads in my go-to presets. So for example, I might want like a synth lead that's a little bit more sine wavy, a little more, that's not super bright, something that's like something that could be, for example, something at the start of a solo. And then I also would like to have a synth lead that's, for example, something that's so powerful it could almost stand in line to harmonize or unison line with an electric guitar, like a distorted electric guitar. So it doesn't mean it's not exactly going to be a distorted guitar sound, but maybe like a super harsh lead, think in the style of like a epic Jordan Rudess type lead that kind of stands in its own in the rock world. So you got your two different types of synth leads, soft and harder, your synth pads, and then there's also the strings. And here's where we're getting to the fringes, depending on how many favorite kind of buttons you have on your keyboard. You might want to use just a few of these, but like string pad is a good one to have, like string pad for kind of more, slightly older or even more R&B songs that have a nice string pad, can lay it out. And that's something that have like a longer attack, so like it take a while to build up. Versus then you might want to have like a single note string where you can hear the individual notes, so you want to hear like certain specific lines. Let's take this red fin off, shall we? Uh-oh, two more left. We're getting there. All right. And then the next category is an organ. Probably going to want a nice organ sound there. So yeah, the organ, I like to ideally have control of the Leslie speed, which is kind of like emulating the kind of spinning microphones around the Leslie cabinet. So you get that that kind of whooshing sound. I like to be able to control that or get some sort of sound that I can play both accompanying on the organ and then lead sounds. If I just build up the distortion, a lot of older songs might be appropriate to do it like an organ solo. Even newer songs, not as many, more synths and the more modern stuff. But all right, let's take off this fin. We got the fin off. And yes, I might redecorate this fin with some interesting interesting things to get it more unique and more personalized to me. Story for a different day. Let's get to the keyboard patches after taking a quick look at our new black guitar. It's pretty cool. Could be good like that. But for this recording session on Saturday, go ahead and pick up my other fin from my previous Roland Axe Edge, which just broke inexplicably. And now today, I'll be going to a jam session in Stockton. It's kind of fun one where it's just a group of guys kind of meet up, make original music. And it's interesting to have at least something in your life that's not, oh, this needs to make money, or this needs to have XYZ metric. It's nice to have that ability to just kind of be free and just kind of express yourself and listen to the people around you and kind of create from that place of freedom. So that's what tonight will be. So it's more kind of like a free jam, improvisation, maybe a little bit of composition. And I just want to make sure I have a good amount of sounds available for that. So starting off, based on your different keyboards, this is going to be, going around with a similar type of concepts where you have your favorite turned on. It's set to a certain bank, and within that bank, you can store these types of categories that we've discussed. So first off, I want to make sure I have a piano. So I got a piano here. This one here is called Bright Piano. And for me, on this Roland Axe Edge, I have the assignable control that's preset to determine like a filter on it. So all the way down, it sounds almost like underwater. That gives a nice, interesting sound, but bring it up, it gets brighter. It's kind of cool to have that in case you want to do a more subdued playing. You bring that filter down. All right, there's our piano sound, and then also we have our keyboard. Use an electric piano. I decided to have a preset that has the phaser already built in. All right, so there's our built-in electric piano with the built-in phaser, and here is our strings. And this one, to save on patch real estate here, I could theoretically use this as both the string pad and like string melodies for individual lines. So for example, this also the assignable control is set to the filter, which is great. So I can bring that down and that'll function as a nice string pad. This patch is called Axe Strings. And so I bring it down, that kind of can function as a pad, which is nice. Then I bring it up. I think the attack time is just short enough that it is able to get individual notes. Maybe it's a little too much release, but I just have things coming up so soon. I got a rehearsal tonight. I got a recording session on Saturday. I don't know if I have time to go in and attack the ADSR, but if you have more of a workstation type keyboard, you probably have access to right there, the ADSR, the amplitude envelopes, attack, decay, sustain, release. So if you want, you could, like, for example, bring down the release time so this ring doesn't get in the way of the other notes. But in the interest of time, I'll use this one, and if need be, bring that filter down. You can still kind of hear each individual note. So we'll use that strings for now. And then here is our organ. And I did have an issue getting the Leslie to work exactly like I wanted to. It still sounds a little odd, little off. So it seems like this pitch bend kind of brings in some extra high frequencies, or it brings in some higher drawbars. What would be much more useful is having the Leslie go from fast to slow. So that's something I got to dig into the future, and I recommend you digging in on your keyboard. How do you have a organ sound that has the Leslie? You're able to switch consistently between fast and slow. All right, so this one called Rotary Organ 2 kind of has a filter on it with the assignable control knob, but this pitch bend, what does this do? The pitch bend is set to rotary fast. That's great. So it's not set to toggle, it's set to momentary. And so what that means is I hold this out. If I press it, it's not going to switch to fast and stay there like some kind of Leslie pedals might be set up to do. Instead, it's like when I hold it out, that's going to change. It's going to set it to fast only for as long as I hold this out, which is fine as long as I'm just playing, right hand, which is often the case with the guitar, right? So I'll hold this out and, for example, play a chord. And now this is going to set it to fast. All right, so that's pretty good. So maybe I'll use that as my new preset instead. Only one request here, and it's getting nitpicky, is I would like the Leslie speed at its maximum is a little bit too fast. So I would like to kind of bring that down a little bit. Drink your protein, folks. I'm going to set this one as the main one. So I'm just going to hold down favorites and then click the button. And again, I'm not showing you specifically this board how to do it because, you might have your own keyboard, but the process is often the same, right? Often like holding down the favorites button, pressing one of your slots. Boom! You got a preset. So here's the organ. Now with that control for speed, amazing. That's great. And so often recommended because even though you might be able to see, but there have some sort of names in here, like it says things like, edge lead, bass, pad, poly, brass. And that's pretty good. And I could have stuck to their recommendations in the favorites, like this is a lead, this is a lead, this is a bass, this is a pad, this is poly, this is a brass, this is a keys, this is other blah, blah, blah. But there's still not everything you need in there. Like, given that, there's no place for a piano. We need a piano, right? You have keys, but keys, you like to have an electric piano. But so just, when a few things get off, everything gets off. So instead of using their exact thing, I'll use my own. And when that's the case, you're probably going to want to kind of write in your own categories just because you'll get confused. Like I just got confused right now. I just saved over a preset. Oh boy. But what I can do to alleviate these issues from happening in the future, I like to take some black electrical tape. Right, this is already black. So take black electrical tape and then right on top of that with a metallic Sharpie. That has kind of a nice look for what the different categories are. And then, instead of writing with metallic Sharpie on the keyboard itself, which I could do, that's a little more permanent. Instead, you have the tape on there and you can change it for different gigs, different scenarios as you evolve your keyboard palette over time. And yeah, so let's just get that set up real quick. Throw some tape on there, right in our patches. And here's where it gets important to think about what you actually need to be close to each other. Because for example, it's also of note that on this keyboard and probably on many other keyboards, I have a program up and down function right here. So for example, let's say it's a song 1 has a piano verse and an organ chorus. Song 2 has a piano verse and a string chorus. You'd want to set those up so that they live close to one another, right? So you'd have piano in the middle with a string on this side and an organ on this side. So you have the ability to hop in between. And yeah, it gets a little tricky. You have to, at some point, you just got to make a decision and be like, okay, I'll put this here, and then I'll have to hit it twice to get to this category, whatever it may be. But it is nice to think about getting things lining up nicely. All right, so let's think about this recording session I have Saturday, actually. So one of the songs in that session is I Will Survive. You got a piano and then strings and there's horns, but I don't play horns. Oh, I didn't mention this before, but I have a credo. I just don't play horn patches. I don't like it. I'll play string patches, right? String patches are kind of more of an appropriate thing. The strings sounds on keyboards are pretty good. Horn patches on the keyboard. In solidarity with my horn, saxophone, trumpet, trombone brothers and sisters. It's just, yeah, I don't like playing horn patches. But anyway, yeah, there's two main categories there. In I Will Survive, we got a piano and strings. So let's try to set those up close together, because the way I have it set up right now is piano all the way on the left, soft lead, and then a pad, saw, which is like a synth pad, brass. It seems very loud. This one I'll probably sub out for like a cool stab. I don't like that. And we got keys. Electric keys, organ, and clav. All right, I'm gonna stop this video and just pull it up when I have it all set up. All right, so I've got everything prepped for my recording session for Saturday, even a few bonus. But here, so I have this piano, on the other side the organ, and then I have my saw wave next to my CP, which is gonna work for treasure, right? Because maybe in treasure, I would start with the saw, doing like a live intro, starting with those big saw pads. And then to the CP, which is like an E grand. All right, so over here, I have like a Rhodes over here. So maybe I will end up making this into a wurli. We're going with wurli. All right, so favorite and set it to the CP. Now, unfortunately, I have already written this in with permanent marker. But I got more tape right here. I'll just tape over it. No big deal. See, no one ever noticed. There we go. Wurli. So I'll go from saw to wurli. Because I actually wasn't like how that CP 80 or E grand was hitting. Didn't like it. Couldn't get down with it. Get rid of that. All right. So we've got a piano, organ, EP, stab. This thing is so cool with the filter. This would be really good for like clarity. Playing a band that covers clarity, for example. All right. So it leaves us these 3 for leads, right? So I've got a soft lead right here. Soft lead, and we'll have 2 different types of leads. I guess we could do like, small, medium, large, or like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, these are 2 similar, so I have to pick the best one out of these 2. So, showdown, here is number 2. Yeah, there's that weird phaser-y stuff at the top of this one, so let's go back to number 1. That one wins. That one wins. All right, so let's save that, and then this will make something else. Dang it, I kind of like that, but this would be soft lead. All right, we'll let that one win. So that one wins the soft lead, okay? So that one's there now. Now we can put a different one here. No, I mean, it's delay, maybe. Kind of boring. Let's get a different lead for here. Yeah, these are pretty good. Little square lead. Next, nope, definitely no. This is so close. It's like the resonance was higher on this. No, close. Probably. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. It's called Reso Saw lead. All right, so now allegedly I have 3 leads. One soft, one medium, one large. All right, cool. Now let me think if I should label them differently. Should I just call it lead 1 and lead 2? Or should I be like, yeah, whatever, lead 1, lead 2. Marker, please. Where's that marker? All right, so here's our first list of patches here. Starting from here, we've got lead 1, lead 2, soft lead, wurli, saw, string, piano, organ, EP, and stab, right? And so with this favorites button on, I can access all those, right? So I'll turn favorites on, and let's see which bank we saved it in. Hopefully bank 0, right? Yes, bank 0, lovely. So within bank 0, all these favorites, we got this lead, lead 2, soft lead, wurli, saw, string, piano, organ, EP, stab. And that's all within bank 0. So you can see the power, of course, when you hit bank and you have all these different options, right? So let's go to bank 1. Oh my goodness. And what do we have in bank 1? Not registered, but you got a whole different world of things you can add there to get it set up to your liking. Fix that focus, man. Oh yeah, fix your focus. All right, so that should give a nice outline of the main keyboard categories you want to have set as presets for your next jam or performance. And let's go check this out in a live context. So let's take it to the jam, try out some sounds. All right, so setting up those sounds in that way did end up giving a good amount of variation. I was able to kind of move between different things. I loved having access to the filter to get different things. But if there's any favorite patches that I missed, let me know some of your favorite patches in the comments below. And if you got all your patches together, you're ready to go, you're still kind of not quite in the practicing routine, watch this video. It should help you get dialed in with how you can make it easy for yourself to practice. All right, happy practicing.